Greg Glassman officially resigns as the CEO of CrossFit. Whether you take this as good news, a win for the community, or even some bad news, everything's up to your own interpretation. And on top of that, there's been tons of massive athletes, huge programs, and also very influential people coming out and making a stand against CrossFit. People like Team Richie, Matt Fraser, Tia Claire Toomey, Katrin David's daughter, Armand Hammond TV. The list goes on. And these people, they're standing up for what's right. Yes, sometimes their message may be a little bit soft, but that's okay. Because at the same time, at least they're putting in the effort to try. Because doing something is always better than doing nothing at all. However, Greg stepping down and our new leader, Dave Castro, stepping up, what kind of changes will we be looking at CrossFit? Will CrossFit become a more games-orientated sport? Will it be still a huge focus on CrossFit health? How much power will Greg Glassman still have over the company? These are questions that are left unanswered. Even though, yes, Dave Castro is the CEO, Greg Glassman still seems to be the 100% owner of CrossFit, which begs the question, what will Greg do now? Is he officially retired? Will he move to Fiji and live the rest of his life out? But we're gonna just talk about my opinion. We're gonna cover off some of the topics about his resigning, Dave Castro picking up, and some of the things that have happened in the recent couple of days. So let's get stuck into it, team. Firstly, we're going to talk about the official retirement post that Greg Glassman put up on the CrossFit.com earlier today. It reads, Glassman retires. I've stepped down as CEO of CrossFit Incorporated, and I decided to retire. On Saturday, I created a rift in the CrossFit community and unintentionally hurt many of its members. Since I founded CrossFit 20 years ago, it's become the world's largest network of gyms. Slight flex. All are aligned in offering an elegant solution to the vexing problem of chronic disease. Creating CrossFit and supporting its affiliates and legions of professional trainers has been a labor of love. Those who know me know that my sole issue is the chronic disease epidemic. I know that CrossFit is a solution to this epidemic and that CrossFit HQ and its staff serve as stewards of affiliates worldwide. I cannot let my behavior stand in the way of CrossFit HQ and its affiliates' mission. They are too important to jeopardize. Some Super Bowl words from Greg Glassman himself. Now, of course, that does not remove the fact that he did make the comments he did. But you do have to agree. Greg's mission for the last, 100 years that he's been alive, has been the epidemic of disease and the removal of things like diabetes, heart disease, which is all caused by inactivity, in his opinion. So yes, Greg Glassman resigns. Now for Dave Castro's introduction to being CEO of CrossFit. Dave Castro says, CrossFit is a community. One of that is global, diverse, and tough. Every person in our community shares a common bond. We are all dedicated to a visionary, transformative approach to health and fitness. Our individual passion for that approach has forged an enduring community. Our community is hurt, though. Our shared bond brings together millions of people with differing opinions, viewpoints, and experiences. Friction is inevitable. Common ground, mutual respect, and fellowship must be inevitable. I'm honored to take the role of CEO of CrossFit Incorporated. I hope I do right by affiliates, trainers, athletes, and other members of CrossFit community and other members of the CrossFit community around the world that never loses sight of the mission Greg established for us all. Firstly, let's cover my favorite comment of this entire thing. Palpatine is still emperor, which really puts a point across that Greg still owns 100% of the company. What he will do, what he will bring to the company is still a little bit indecisive. We're still not exactly sure what's going to happen next. However, this does beg the question, will it be more CrossFit Games orientated? Dave Castro has been well known for many years to be the games director, to create the open, the regional, and the CrossFit Games workouts, and many of the worst workouts of all time. Does this mean that CrossFit's going to take a more CrossFit Games approach? Because based on his message that he put across, it still looks like he's going to keep the core values. A lot of people are calling him out to be a puppet. And on the question of diversity, there was this post put out by Armand Hammond TV about someone asking the question of diversity at the recent CrossFit Games 2019 panel.
Plans or if any plans to add diversity to the roster?
Next question, yes.
Tomorrow morning.
He essentially avoided the questions, and you can see some of the athletes in a little bit of confusion as to why someone would ask this question. But I guess at the same time, this whole issue of racism wasn't as highly strung as it was back then. I mean, racism was always around, it's just that people weren't as aware, and there was no message getting across that it's something that we need to deal with. I wouldn't read too much into his response, but at the same time, it does leave the question, does he even know what to do about the situation? Probably not. Also, with the issue of Dave Castro and Greg Glassman at hand, we've had, at this point, 1,250 affiliates de-affiliate from CrossFit. Now, that's obviously a huge deal. A lot of these athletes said that in their post, it was pretty generic. Most of them said something on the lines of, you know, as long as CrossFit makes changes, we're going to stand our ground. But now that CrossFit has made a slight change, and seeing it over the next couple of days, if not weeks, what Dave Castro decides to do with the business, will this make athletes come back, and will their kind of a half-hearted approach of, you know, standing for racism just be undone? We'll find out. But they posted also a list of companies and big Instagram following / YouTube channels that have de-affiliated from CrossFit. Let's read some of the big names that we can see on here. Got the obvious ones like Reebok, Noble, Rogue Europe, things like Arm & Hammer TV, which I don't really consider him a brand, but I guess he can kind of consider himself a brand. I don't know. People like Barbell Shrugged, FitAid, Romwad, we've got Competition Corner, Zevia, it goes on, Burgunder Strength, Training Day Media, Misfit Athletics, Form Primitive, Matt O'Keefe, Talking Elite Fitness, Sugarwad, CompTrain, DecaComp, and the list goes on. A massive list of companies who have come out and been like, hey, we don't agree with what CrossFit's done, we don't agree with this whole situation, we're not going to be spreading that message of CrossFit for now. Once again, it's very vague how long these companies will stay out for, because most of these companies are developed from CrossFit. So now that they don't have that CrossFit base, will they become more of a functional fitness thing? Something like Marcus Philly and Ryan Fish, where they have their kind of functional fitness-based CrossFit style training. What happens to competitions from here onwards? Do you train for the CrossFit Games, or do you train for the Rogue Invitational? These are all questions that we need to think about when we're looking into this next situation. What comes next? In the next couple of weeks, I'm sure we'll find out, but it gives us a kind of a bit of an unawareness of what we should do now. Games athletes not too sure what they should train for, kind of just trying to stay in shape for whatever comes up next. But this is what we're all prepared for, the unknown and unknowable. People keep going on about how COVID was such a good thing for CrossFitters because we're prepared for it. This is also going to be something that we need to prepare ourselves from. We need to arm ourselves with the tools and the education required to battle things like racism within the sport of CrossFit, but also outside of that sport as well. We need to stand together when it comes to staying fit and healthy, and not worry too much about the politics of CrossFit, but more focus on the entire message behind what Greg Glassman all those years ago was trying to get at, which is destroying chronic disease, saving people's lives. This is the real message that we need to be focusing on. Otherwise, guys, what are your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen with Dave Castro? What do you think he will be? Do you think the CrossFit will be more games orientated? Do you think CrossFit will be more health orientated? What is going to be your next steps? Are you still going to stay strong to CrossFit? Because I still believe in the message. I don't believe in people who are racist. There's a difference between the message of CrossFit and racism. I still love the community that I support. I love the people. I love you guys that get behind me. You guys keep me inspired to create more content and to get out there and make sure that someone's voice is heard. And hopefully, team, I'll have an actual video fucking released. I have a video planned, and it's going to be based on the Rogue Invitational coming up. Hope you guys stay a beast.